Avatar, The Way of the Water, 90% of this film was shot on this lens, the Fujinon MK 18-55. So I only found this out yesterday, and I just thought it'd be quite cool to explore this further since we just released content about our conversion kits for DSMC1 and DSMC2 cameras. Russell Carpenter, the DP of the film, discussed these lenses in an interview he did, where he said,
The MK 18-55, which 90% of the movie was shot on.
How cool is that? One of the blockbuster films with a budget of $460 million using these prosumer lenses that you can pick up new for a couple $1,000s and not even that secondhand. And that was actually the main reason why I made the adapter for these lenses, is because just how much these lenses are based upon lenses that are not only more expensive, but also are a much higher grade, such as the Fujinon Cabrios. So at just 8 inches long and at under a kilogram, Russell talks a lot about the size and weight of these lenses being kind of such a huge decision maker for them because they have such heavy and large rigs.
Each one is 2.2 pounds, about 8 inches long, which is ideal for being on a rig.
Anywhere where they could minimize kind of the size of those was really important to them.
They track incredibly well together, which of course is exactly what you need. You know, when you have two separate images, left eye and right eye, that have to line up.
Obviously, when you're filming for 3D and you're recording two separate images, it's super important that those images match perfectly and that the consistency between the two lenses is spot on. Usually, you can only really expect this from lower volume, more expensive lenses where each lens is manually calibrated in the factory. So seeing that they had no issues with these Fujinons just shows how well each lens is built and the consistency and quality that Fujinon put into them. So seeing it in these films is really incredible. Russell also says in his interview,
their wide open aperture of 2.9, they were super, super sharp. And at first I thought, well, we did something wrong. Let's do another test, because they were just as sharp as lenses that cost 10 times more.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I've been saying. And that's why I chose to make these adapters for DSMC1 and DSMC2. They really are just as sharp as lenses that cost 10 times more, which is pretty cool. The image does look really good wide open, and not just because they're sharp. There's also kind of very little chromatic aberration, which is that purple fringing you get around the edges of kind of objects and people. But on these lenses, there's really very little. So it was more of a stylistic choice to shoot most of the film on the 18-55 over the 50-135.
In the world of 3D, you get a much more of a sense of depth if you're shooting in the wider, focal lengths.
A lot of the shots in Avatar are very wide, and I think that's part of the immersive nature of the film, to put you right in the scene with them. But there are plenty of scenes where they would have used the 50-135, which is just as good in my experience for your longer telephoto shots. It just gives very nice separation with your subject and your background. If you are interested in getting this set up, I would always recommend getting both lenses as a pair, as it just gives you the most coverage for whatever you're shooting.
You know, we had to quality test them by, I don't know, it wasn't thrashing the lenses, but making sure they held up over, the wear and tear was, they were going to fall apart in the first week, basically, is what we were after.
Yeah.
So this is really just check that your focus, your aperture rings hold up to the kind of usage, and not only general kind of wear and tear, but putting up with like moisture, humidity, sand, all these things they're going to be facing on the sets in Avatar. But that is an important consideration when choosing a lens. And it's definitely something I've noticed over the last 3 years of using these lenses. Like the focus, the iris, the zoom always feels smooth, and I always feel like I can rely on these lenses. Also, definitely not a reason why they chose these lenses, but maybe a reason why you might consider buying these lenses definitely is cost. One thing we do know is that the guys that created Avatar really don't care about budget when it comes to lenses or equipment.
let's see, I think they cost $4,000. That's nothing to sneeze at, but it's nothing, like.
The fact that they needed lightweight, high quality lenses and these kind of fit the bill just is a real testament to how good they are. So it's also worth noting that there's obviously a lot of CGI in this film, and CGI doesn't necessarily represent what the lens captures. Obviously, any image of the avatars or the Na'vi are completely computer generated. So whilst that's worth being aware of, there's plenty of scenes throughout the movie where scenes undergo significantly less alteration and where lens image quality really has to be excellent to stand up to the style and aesthetic of the movie. So credit to Mark Barnfield for this, since he was the one that DM'd us with this info about the lenses being used in Avatar. So yeah, that was just a quick video I wanted to share, since our CINELUX adapters is now the only adapter in the world that will mount your Fujinon MK lens to a DSMC1 or DSMC2 camera. I love this setup. I've been using it over the last 3 years and it really is incredible. And the fact that it was good enough for Cameron means that they're probably good enough for me.
I've shot with the same lens you guys did for small little productions in Boston. Like, that's ridiculous. But that's amazing that this just worked for you.
It totally worked for us. And I every time I think of it, I kind of get a smile on my face.
Thanks for watching the video. We're currently at the end of developing our speed booster for DSMC2, which we're really excited about. So make sure you signed up to the newsletter to kind of be getting the latest updates about that. We've also just updated our CINELUX community, where you can ask us questions about what we're developing, and you can chat with other filmmakers about their setups and about what you'd like to see us make next. So go check that out if you're interested in that.